Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Raymore City Council work session for Monday, May the 1st, 2023. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We have a couple of items on our agenda tonight, the first one being budget amendments, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, sir. Some materials to hand out here. I'll let those get around.
Okay.
As the council is aware, at budget time this past August, I made the recommendation to you all that we hold off on any use of available fund balance until after we had a clearer picture of what our costs were going to be associated with our landfill fight. As we come up with 8 to 10 days left in the session, those are starting to solidify as far as what we would be spending in this fiscal year on that effort. And we have a couple of pressing needs and a program that I would like to propose to the council. And as you can see on here, we've titled this firing range, but you'll see a mower, trailer, and seasonal worker on there that I would like to expand on that particular process and my thought process with this. And I would just like feedback on whether you would like to see these come to you formally or if you have any other ideas. So speaking with the police department, our first pass at the firing range has always been that it needs electrical down there. From a security standpoint, from a lighting standpoint, from an enhancement standpoint. Classroom gets pretty hot with no air conditioning in it. And you can only have classes in the classroom that's down there during the day because obviously there's no lighting. So what you see there is an estimate from Evergy to get two power poles placed on the site. The total on that's going to be about $30,000. And then second priority down there, second priority has changed, but at the point in time for this right now, second priority is to put a fence around it. This is costing for a 10-foot high security fence, razor wire top, like you see on most government installations, with 2 electrified gates, not shot gates, but they open automatically. I talked them out of the shot gates. You'll be happy. And then once it's down, once we get the electrical down there, power off of the 2 poles that I just now talked about to the classroom / storage building would be an additional $42,452. The fence itself is the most expensive item, obviously, at the $468,000, but the fence needs to go around the entire property.
Which is, do we have a linear footage on that at all?
I would have that, sir.
Okay, but not now.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. I figured it would be. Was it 40 acres? Is it the whole 40 acres or just the
entire 40 acres. It does not go through the lake. We're having to figure that we have a different item for the lake. Goes right up to the bank. One of the number one concerns that we get from May 1 through October 31st is mowing in the ditches of Raymore. Currently, we can only get to that 2 to 3 times a year, and that gets tamped down if it is a bad weather year. Last year, we were only able to mow all of those roadsides that we're responsible for twice. So with the firing range came the need to discuss how to mow a very, very dangerous hill down there and have it work. Because if you've been down there, you're going down 291, you turn off 291, and you're going down an embankment into the quarry. So it's a substantial area that needs to be mowed and kept clean. The south side of it's a very nice lawn area by the transfer station that's down there, but that particular hill is pretty rough and kind of scary to have somebody on a mower on. So several months ago, we started looking at what kind of mower could do that and what could we do to have a program where the firing range was included, but basically from mid-April until the end of October, we just had somebody constantly mowing. It wasn't on a cycle for the rest of the public works folks. It was just a person out there with a mower. So I didn't get to go. The assistant city manager did get to go and actually use it. And here is the mower that you see on here. You'll notice it's got the tracks. It is capable, and it is remote controlled. So nobody actually has to be on the unit. A seasonal worker can be trained. It's very, very simple to use. We put a seasonal worker out there 8 hours a day, all through the season, mow everything in with the firing range, come back and start again. Just mow. That's all we want you to be doing. This particular mower is capable of actually chewing through
2.5-inch trees, 2.5-inch in diameter trees.
it is that, yeah. And that's how
It's
we'd be
impressive.
using it actually.
It's impressive.
Who would be servicing it though? Like, wherever we're getting it, is there a service agreement or?
Yeah, that's a good question. They actually will train us and send us service packages, including extra blades. And so we have a choice actually, once we purchase the mower, we can actually have people who do minor maintenance on it ourselves, which would be very doable for us, especially in terms of changing, sharpening blades, all those kinds of things, and minor maintenance on the tracks. But anything that is major comes as a part of the warranty with it, and they'll actually come out and service it. They're based in Independence. RC Mowers is based in Independence, so we have a local contact who would be able to come and do that for us.
Any questions on any of the amendments that are in front of you right now?
So does the fence project include any other perimeter improvements? Like the backstop or anything like? That's a whole other project?
I'm getting that right
Okay,
now.
all right.
But any questions on the ones in front of you?
Walk behind with the rope going down the hill and pulling it back wouldn't work?
Oh, it would. It's just harder.
Okay, all right. It'd come out to about, what, a
And
couple
much
hundred
more harrowing, I
bucks?
might
Okay, all
add.
right. Thank you.
Yeah, not so safe. Anybody? Yep, Kevin?
Thank you, Your Honor. Pardon my pun, but I'll get in the weeds here a little bit. So would this mower, would that do all the mowing out there? Or would you have, for the easy part, would you have a secondary mower as well that you would need out there?
This mower, the blades can actually be changed to do finish mowing.
Okay, interesting.
Anything else on these? So secondary to this is the fact that I have had to ask Mr. Crass to go back in and begin the process of finding a general contractor because the eyebrow and the backstop at the firing range have essentially failed. It's not completely down and it hasn't completely collapsed, but the eyebrow has come down. Part of it is just, it came down. It's not, it was a wooden backstop and eyebrow over that. And there's also a huge tree on the backside of it that the roots have pushed it forward and down. That we have, and we're gonna have to work with the property owner. Yes, sir.
The eyebrow that you're talking about?
Okay, on a shooting range, you have the back stop, but then you have, pardon me for using your phone.
If this is what you're shooting into, it's over the top to catch anything that's coming up this way.
That flies
Keep
up.
it force.
Yeah, like a
The,
baffling.
So we need to look at a complete redo on that from a safety standpoint. Honeywell's Rangemaster actually went out there last week and they have stopped using it until such time as we can get the eyebrow repaired at the very least, to keep that very thing from happening. So I've asked Mr. Crass because unfortunately there are no companies that specialize just in this. There's no company that's like Firing Ranges are us that we can give a call to and get a quote from. So we're going to have to be our own general contractor on this thing. But when we do it, it will be another item that I come to you all for an amendment on. As soon as we have the price for that, it will actually take second priority that we need to get that out there for our own officers' safety when they're down there shooting. So as soon as I have that pricing, I will be back with the council on that as well. Any questions on that part of it?
Is there any inkling at all that it can be salvaged?
No.
No, okay.
And we had started, we knew eventually this was going to happen, just with the very nature of the build, the fact that the police department would like to see the side berms built up a little bit.
Right.
They're a little bit low. So now it's time to go in and make it what we had wanted to be from the very beginning.
Sure. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, just for curiosity's sake, how many hours a week or a month do we use the range?
We
Anyone
don't,
use it?
between us, Peculiar and Honeywell, especially with Peculiar, it was probably getting used at least once a week. I know twice a month is one of the conditions, but Peculiar's down there a lot as well.
Yeah, I think if we raise our standards down there, get the classrooms electrified where they can actually be used on a regular basis, lighting, leveling, baffling, we'll get other police agencies that want to contract with us to use it. So there will be, I think there will be a little bit of a return. We're already getting some from Honeywell, but I think other agencies would likely do the same thing. We just need to make it a nicer spot than what it is. It's a perfect location for it.
Several agencies had and still have contracts with Grandview. The problem is Grandview has stopped letting them use it because they're embroiled in all of those actions against them because they built that indoor firing range in the middle of a neighborhood up there. And you can hear.
Yeah.
Terrific.
I'm assuming the trailer is to move around the mower. Mm-hmm. And then I know the mower, is it just for the firing range, or are we going to use that to do the ditches that you
No.
were talking about?
It'll be on a constant rotation.
Okay, so it's really going to save us a lot of time, it sounds like, or it's actually going to get things done.
I think it's going to get things done.
Okay. Next.
Thank you, sir. And I'll have copies of this if you'd like to take it with you just for your reference after I've outlined this to you. So we currently have, as the council is aware, a revenue source that is a video franchise for the city of Raymore, which up until last year's legislation was 5% on from any cable provider for the use of our right-of-way. Several of those providers, and specifically the main one being Google, 2 years ago, Missouri legislation was passed that took that 5%, and you'll remember this from budget, it's being reduced by 0.5% each year over the course of 5 years to then be capped at 2.5% going forward. In early 2022, Google Fiber phased out their video entirely in favor of the fiber network that you all are enjoying and all of your neighbors are enjoying, and we get calls on every single week as they do those installs. In spite of Senator Searpoy's best efforts the last 2 years, fiber is not considered video. It's two different things. And everything is moving to fiber. Google has completely gotten rid of the video end of their business. They're going with fiber because everybody streams now. Senator Searpoy tried to get similar legislation for fiber as was in place for video. That has failed for 2 years in a row now. Google right now would not have to pay any kind of a franchise fee to the city. in light of that, but they still are. But what they are doing is they are negotiating with Missouri cities who know that they could be paying zero and someday in the future are going to be paying zero. And they're offering us this one-time deal that several cities have already taken, and the others like us are in the process, they're just now approaching us on it, of signing a multi-year contract for 1% franchise. And they can't even call it franchise because it's not a franchise fee, it's just for use of the right-of-way as they install the fiber network. And I am seeking council's desire for us to go ahead and enter into negotiations with them on that contract, or just let the whole thing expire and then they'll put in their request to go to zero. Right now, the contract is written at 30. I would probably increase that. It's not going to be fiber in 30 years. Who knows what it's going to be, and then we'll have to go through all this again. But I would suggest increasing that to a 50-year contract.
Mr. Townsend, did you have something?
I did. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the report, Mr. Freeborn. So by cities accepting or entering into that agreement for that 1% rental fee, basically,
Well put.
are they also foregoing participation should legislation be successful in having this be included in the franchise fee, that they've entered in a 30-year 1%? Legislature passes something that says, no, this is considered under the franchise. In municipalities now have 2.5%.
Right.
We're stuck with 1%. Would that be the?
What we would have in the contract is an amendment to the draft contract that they sent across to address specifically that item. And I don't know that if the legislation passed, it would supersede contracts like this anyway.
That we'd be in a 30-year contract for 1%, but the law would allow up to 2.5, or we couldn't.
No, I mean, we would have something in there that says if legislation passes, it
Okay.
nulls and voids the contract.
Okay.
But I'm not so sure that the legislation wouldn't automatically null and void the contract,
Okay.
because they'd want to get out of that,
Got it.
because it would give us the ability under the franchise definition to charge the 2.5. They're not going to want the 2.5 on top of a 1% contract.
Correct. Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything on that?
So is the council okay with me beginning negotiations with them on this? So the casual thumbs up.
Everybody? Yep.
Thank you all. Would anybody like a copy of the outline? Great, I'll recycle. That concludes staff reports tonight. So
Okay. But if there's no further questions, that moves us to other. Does anybody have anything? Mr. Townsend?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did. Council has received a couple of emails, and I'll just talk in this work session here regarding stop signs that have been put in timber trails, and staff has given, pretty detailed responses to the community concerns. We've had residents come and present their case with regards to the stop signs that were installed on behalf of the community and the city, and I believe staff gave a pretty detailed report on that matter. But I'm just, to the council, getting their feelings on how would you prefer to proceed with regard to the particular gentleman is asking for response and how can remedy the situation. And I don't know if the remedy that is wanted, I think there's an ultimate remedy that is desired. And so I don't know how, absent that, we would be able to move forward with removing the stop signs. I think that's exactly what is being asked. But I feel personally, based on the report from staff, that the stop signs that were installed were necessary and justified. in ensuring that the community is safe and traffic movement is adequately moving correctly. So I just put it to the council.
No, I got the same email. I mean, I was also tagged on that, and it, you know, we constantly look at those things. We have our traffic engineering division give us their recommendations, and that area got neglected initially for stop signs, and we'd gotten complaints from folks in that area. Now we've got complaints from 2, maybe 3 residents there, basically who own the yards where the signs were put, that are complaining about it. It does concern me that they said it creates a hazard for children in the area. I'm not sure a stop sign creates a hazard. It's always been one that relieves a hazard. So I'm not sure I agree with that summation on their complaint, but I did the same thing. I did on my homework here with the team here, and thinking, well, maybe there's a remedy there, but the remedy was the installation of the stop signs to ensure the safety of the area. So I don't know. Does anybody have anything they want to add to that, Kevin?
Well, thank you. You know, yeah, I would kind of piggyback on what you're saying. I mean, how many residents live in that neighborhood? Yes. You don't have to be exact, but more than 3, right?
Right.
Okay, so we've had 3 people say they don't want them, but we're not getting, you know, if we had half a dozen or more, you know, it's saying that and I go with what the mayor said too. I've never heard of a stop sign creating a hazard. They're obviously to get people to stop, pay attention to what's going on around them, and then move if they're done properly. Now, if they're done like most people used as a yield sign, then I can see that being an issue with car coming the other way. But yeah, with just 3 people that have spoke out on this, we got a whole neighborhood that you have to in your ward look after. I don't think it justifies making a change, especially if staff is saying this is what's necessary and needed. So that's my opinion.
Right. Mr. Burt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was a couple comments in one of the emails that talked about a stop sign being, you know, in between 2 residences, and then they wouldn't be able to park on the street next to the stop sign.
Right.
There's a stop sign right where Johnston Drive and Johnston Parkway and Silver Lake come together, and it's right next to mailboxes, and people regularly park right there in front of the stop sign because they're doing a business with the home that's right there, and it happens often. Is that really a law that you can't park so many feet from the stop sign?
Yeah.
In the front of it as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Within 15 feet.
That's what I was curious about that. Thanks.
Sonia?
Just a quick comment. I felt like because of the placement of the sign and the driveways and the mailboxes there was a little justification from the gentleman who came and spoke to the council about just questioning, is this really a good place? Because, like I said, because of the mailboxes, and I think that was his point, was
Right.
that people park there for those mailboxes, so then other people are gonna be going around them and then potentially stopping, and now we have more obstacles in case there is a child who is playing and happens to run out in the street. However, also going back to what Kevin said, if we only have 3 people who are seeing that that's an issue, we can't base our decisions based on just 3 people's opinions. So I would say if there are more people in the neighborhood who are seeing the traffic on a regular basis who have that same concern, I would encourage them to reach out to Reggie or the rest of us, and then maybe we reconsider. But based on 3 people and, you know, other people, of course, city staff who have really examined the area and such, seems like right now we should stick with that decision. But But it did seem like there was some reason to
Yeah,
consider
no,
his
I would
opinion.
agree. I thought they did a great job of articulating their position on it, but did you have something, Mr. Fearmore?
Yes, thank you, sir. And I would also remind the council that we took this action because it was a justified action, because it wasn't on the plat. These have been approved for less than a month and a half. And we took the action after we did a study. I actually put 2 of our public works people out there to watch the traffic flow for, I want to say it was 7 days straight, to watch, because traffic does divert into these neighborhoods to avoid the roundabout. And council saw fit to see our reasoning, but that all got started because there were a number of residents from these areas who were complaining and asking us for the stop signs. So, okay, they asked for them, and then enough people come forward, and we decided we're going to change it, and then they come back and they go, no, change it back. You all do not want to put yourself into a position where you are going back and forth by the latest person who is coming forth and complaining, especially when we have engineering justification for the particular setup that is there right now.
Right.
The mailbox is a particular item, and we're looking into a possibility with that, by the way.
Oh, okay. All right, well, good. Mr. Burke?
Over years ago, that neighborhood, there was a developer that wanted to change all the homes to duplexes, I believe, and planning and zoning looked at it, and one of the major reasons we didn't want those to have all those extra driveways is because there were no stop signs, and there were plenty of residents that came up and talked to us back then. It was 2014, 13, something like that, but that was something that we looked at then, if you recall.
And I appreciate the council's discussion on this, and I appreciate Mr. Fearborn's comments with regards to the residents have asked for some type of action be taken to kind of slow traffic down, because my 5 years on the council, just about every year I've had someone asking what can we do to slow traffic, to include other safety measures as far as sidewalks up Dean from Timber Trails, and I've been told repeatedly that as development grows, so does the sidewalks. And surprise, third phase goes in, and now there's a trail that gets from Timber Trails up to now, which is going to be, I believe, the depot, connecting it to Johnson Drive. So I appreciate the council's discussion on this and indulging that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure. You want to have any other input on that? Okay, no, good discussion. Thank you, sir. Yep, sure.
And I was trying to read it, and then I forgot when I couldn't read it. For those budget amendments that I did bring to you all, those would be against an available fund balance after fund balance is restricted that is currently projected at about $3,300,000.
Okay. All right. Mr. Holman?
These be coming before us on our next regular meeting.
That is correct, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything? Ms. Forster?
I'm assuming we're all going to Hawk Nest after this? Just excited that that's finally open, since I'm first back and I'm like, yay, it's ready. So
I know,
just
right?
wanted to let everybody and make sure if anybody's watching, come out. Beautiful.
I kind of freaked Nathan out because when I went down to do the final inspection, it looked like an entire school was down there. There were probably 30 kids on the playground, and all the tables were being used, and trash was, and it was like, of all the days.
All right, well, if there's nothing else, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you all. See you at Hawks Nest.